We got a lot of work to do. You look at it and coaching, and we just need to get more reps out there and make sure that it's clear what the rules are. Obviously we made a mistake in the game, ended up costing us, but it's a great learning experience for us. We had really good.
Do you feel like there's a common misperception maybe about the kickoff being a live ball in that situation?
Well, we had a couple touchbacks early in the game, and he just assumed it was a touchback. Again, that was going to roll out of the back of the end zone, and it didn't. So it was a great learning experience for everybody.
And what was the biggest concern about the coverage that you saw Saturday?
Too aggressive. We were running. You got to go down. It's way different now. Like you got to go down there and build a wall, kind of, build a wall just like a defense would. It's the same thing. You can't afford to have two guys running, one guy running right, one guy running left, because that thing will pop you. We had a couple guys over pursue and out of position, and the kid did a great job returning. It was an unbelievable return on that first one against good players.
What's the NFL, with the rules committee, you guys are all looking at this. What was the upshot from week one?
The upshot was the referees and with the rules, we have to get more consistent across the board. It's one of the things that we talked about is, calling the offsides more and, things like just making sure we're all on the same page. We're trying, we got 2 more games to get this done, before the start of the regular season, and we're working the things out pretty quickly.
Return kicks on Saturday night?
Same guys that you saw. We didn't get a lot. Like I said, there was a lot of touchbacks. So I still want to see other guys. I wanted to see Reese, but he didn't practice today. He might not be available. We'll see. But I still want to see. There's a lot of guys I want to see. We've got time, to do that.
Dave, is this a lot for guys to process in a pretty short amount of period of time? Is the significance of this change paid off?
It's a lot, but we've practiced it a lot too. So we made the one mistake, so. I think we're still ahead of the game, as far as how we're going here. Yeah, oh yeah, there's no question. There's going to be some unintended things that happen, and I think that's where the addendums will come in, as the season progresses. Hopefully sooner than later, we get this thing kind of ironed out.
The league already has made that a change that you can't put the ball sideways on the tee. Are you expecting more? And how much did that affect maybe your strategy?
Yeah, we tried it. We wanted to see what it was all about. We wanted to see if there was something to it, and there is. There is something to it. So, everybody's experimenting right now, and we're trying to come up with the best, things for the regular season.
Is there anything that's expressed that he'd like to return?
Who?
Worthy has expressed. Is he able to return punts?
Yeah, he's able. He's probably one of our better guys. But the injury to Hollywood, kind of changed things a little bit there with his status, so we said, let's keep him out this game. We still got 2 more games. We might get him in there, but if not, he's done a lot in practice to show us that he can do it.
Xavier said you showed him some videos of Devin Hester.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously you can learn a lot from him, but what would you like for him to take from that video session?
Just the fact I talked about how much Devin Hester worked at it, and how much he worked on catching and the vision and watch tape, and that was the things that I wanted him to get from that,
Is there anything that you learned from the game situation that you guys couldn't rep out in practice on those kickoffs?
No, just the game speed, and the guys barrel assing down at you to tackle you, that makes a difference, and then you got to make smart decisions out there, and it was a great learning experience for everybody, and I think we created a training tape for the whole league, really, to be honest. So.
Dave, what did it mean to you to have Devin go in the Hall of Fame, and what was it like to be up there?
It was so special. I had my sunglasses on because I was crying most of the time, and my wife told me to take them off, so I took them off, and I'm glad the camera didn't really zoom in on me because they said I was crying. I was so happy for him and proud of him. It was real special.
And for that to be at that position, that's a big distinction, isn't it? It's a kind of breakthrough.
It's huge. There's nobody's done it. He's the first, and he might be the last. Who knows? With the new rules and stuff, you never know. What he did at that time was just Hall of Fame worthy, and there he is.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Hey guys, how are you?
Spags has talked about the fact that you want one of these guys to come up and really play in that spot opposite Trent in the lineup. What's your message to these guys who are competing for that spot?
Same thing. You know, you want a guy to step up. I mean, 35, Jalen Watson and Joshua Williams have played a lot of football for us. Najee Johnson, of course, is coming back off of a knee injury, but you want someone to step up and be able to claim that position and not have a guy rotating and always looking over his shoulder. And so, but we're looking for the same thing. And I, you know, echo what Spags said.
Do you know it when you see it, or I mean, how do you measure this?
Consistency in practice, consistency in technique, as well as consistency in understanding and knowing the calls. So you can feel when a guy is ready to take over and just take it. Not saying that he's going to be clean in everything that he does, but once you see a guy consistently day in and day out, all right, not having the big lows, the big drops, you know that, hey, this guy may be ready to go. And so, but again, we have a great thing going here because, you know, the Fab Five, all those guys have played a lot. And so with 35 and 2, Josh and Jalen, you know, either guy that goes in there and start for us, you have to understand, we normally play 6 DBs on the field, all right, sometimes 5, because the NFL puts out 3 wide receivers. And so both the guys are starters anyway. So we're really just talking about base personnel when it's just 2 wide receivers in the game.
13 still playing a little catch-up?
13 is coming off of his injuries, and so what he's doing is he's coming back very strong, and so he was out there today with the ones, and he's been repping with the ones, and so I look forward to Najee just continuing to, you know, ascend.
Has J.B. Hicks been everything as advertised?
Yes, yes. He is playing probably 4 positions right now: strong, free, dime. I mean, so he's everywhere, and so but. The kid is smart. He's able to absorb a lot of information, and his head is spinning a little bit, but he's definitely everything that we thought he was going to be. You can see the skill set. He made a couple of tackles last week, which was pretty good, and block destruction, continue to work on being physical and quick as you're shedding those blocks. But yes, he is everything you advertise.
Do you see a role for him on defense
Yes,
when the season starts?
yes, and Spags will be able to answer that even more, but definitely, you know, you're not going to miss a beat if he's in there. You know, you're losing Mike Edwards last year, and then all of a sudden you're going to have a guy that can end up filling that type of role. And so this kid has moved around at multiple positions, which has been great.
What is it about Spags that has enabled him to have this kind of success, especially after coming off that year out of football? What have you seen in that?
I think Spags is just able to be himself, and that's what Andy does. Andy allows you to just be yourself, and I think more than anything, he's allowed to go in and actually, you know, shape the defense to his vision. And so not trying to be a Jim Johnson, not trying to be or somebody else as far as a coordinator. He's Spags, and he has a reputation. And so the 5 years we were together in New York, 07, 08, and then 15, 16, 17, he came back and the same thing happened. He was starting to just be himself. And so I think that's the thing that's happening with him. He's doing a great job.
Different in his, when he came back, I mean, did that year off refresh him? Did it make him
Oh yeah. Well, one of the first things that Spike said to me when we came in here in 2019 is that, Dave, I'm going to try to make sure I simplify it and not try to throw a whole lot at the guys. Eventually we would build to where we are today. And so he said he just wanted the guys to play fast. He didn't want a lot of different calls. Now there's some game plan stuff that you do, but the package that we have today versus the package we had in 2019 is night and day difference, night and day.
Yeah, from a characteristic perspective, what do you look forward to having in situations for this team?
Yeah, all right. Number 1, press man-to-man. 2, you have to be able to be a guy that can understand zone concepts, but press corner is the main thing that we're looking for to start off with. And then we turn around and we go into zone coverages, and those guys need to understand whether we're playing cover 2, whether we're playing quarters, how to play zone concepts, what happens when 2 goes away, so on and so forth. So having a guy that's cerebral and that's smart enough to understand it's not all man-to-man where you can just go out there and lock down a guy, because we play a lot of zone. But our corners, the main characteristics is having a guy that can understand press as well as zone concepts. Length is one thing that we also want as far as corners, because we go against a lot of tall wide receivers. So if you have these guys that are coming in here, no knock on anybody else's team, but if you have a guy that's coming in here that's 5'10" and trying to stay outside the whole time, eventually that's going to catch up with you with the guy like a Mike Williams and some of these other tall receivers. So having guys with nice length to them as well is what we're looking for.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, thank you.
What a great day out here at St. Joe's in training camp. Appreciate everybody being here. Great spirited practice. Seems like I've been here for about 3 months, and it's been a great camp. Great physical camp, tough training camp, the way Coach Reed goes about it. And we've had great work. Defensive line going against Coach Heck. I've been with him before. It's been a great training camp. And with that, I'll open it up for questions.
What ways do you see George improve year over year heading into this game?
I just think every year, when George was thrown into the fire as a rookie, he got better last year. Now he just knows the defense. He's fine-tuning his game, and mentally and physically, he's had a great training camp.
How is Felix different right now than maybe he was a year ago at this time, especially in the run?
Well, first of all, he's in great physical shape. Compared to a year ago, he was injured with a hamstring, his wrist. Didn't have much practice time during the offseason until training camp. And just mentally, he knows the playbook. He's playing faster. He did I was really pleased. He did some really good things in the game against two of their better tackles in his pass rush, and he's continuing to develop and get better. Just be more consistent. He made a couple nice plays in the game, but just be able to shed quicker, decipher things a little quicker. But he's a lot better than he was a year ago. He made a couple nice plays in the game, but I'd just like him to be more dominant at the point of attack.
What have you seen from your interior defensive tackles?
Well, I know obviously Chris, had a great training camp up to the point he got nicked up. He'll be back, but Turk Wharton has had a dominating training camp, just strong. He's physical. Love where he's at, and getting Mike Pennell back was really big. And he's done a great job in training camp. He's just so big and physical in there at the point of attack. But they're really developing. Neil Farrell has done some good things, just has to be more consistent. And then we're getting Nadi back, and the young guys have really worked hard.
Somebody like Fabian Lovett, what have you kind of seen?
Well, I'll tell you, he's big, he's physical, and again, just like young guys, they're a little careful at times. You just got to go. Just got to get his big tail moving up the field and knocking people back. But there's definitely a hope there with him and Gubner, the guy from Montana.
Joe, what do you see as a role for Neil Farrell now, having seen him in a training camp setting unlike last year where he came in the trade?
Well, I tell you, he really picked it up at the end of the year, and we get some competition there. In terms of that nose spot, you got Mike Pennell, you got Derek Nadi, who have both started a lot of years in the league. You got Neil, who came on at the end of the year. You got Matt Dickerson, who really did a nice job in the game. We know what Matt's done here for us, so there's some competition. I expect Neil's a big physical guy at the point of attack, and when he plays with low pad level and uses his hands, he's hard to block.
You've had guys who obviously have outside-in flexibility. Do you have any inside-out flexibility, maybe to help out with the depth on the edge?
Yeah, we do. Chris, obviously, in passing down, so we move out there. Turk can do that. We earlier in camp, we were moving Turk outside in some base situations, so there's a 290-pound guy that's quick and physical. But absolutely, we got Mike Dana, George, Felix, and even Truman Jones, who's done a nice job. All can move in or out. And then we got Turk and Chris that can go out when they have to.
Thanks, everybody.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
What have you learned so far about Kingsley and how he's fitting in and just the comfort level for him at that left tackle spot?
Yeah, Kingsley, you can see it right off, his talent, his physical talent. Big, strong, great movement skills. He's shown a knack for being able to pull and make blocks in space. He's a young guy that's trying to grasp all of our techniques and as well as the playbook. So that's a work in progress and kind of figuring out how does he learn best so we can help him grow as quickly as possible.
Do you feel like he's maybe more advanced at this point of camp than you thought he might be when camp started?
I wouldn't necessarily say that. I'm really pleased with where he's at. He's progressively gotten better each day in terms of picking up, something. We say, hey man, great, you got that. Let's put that in your hip pocket. Now let's add one more detail, one more skill to the mix.
You guys have been comfortable starting rookie linemen. What's been the key to that, you think, just making sure that they're ready on day one?
Well, first it starts with our scouts bringing in good people, guys with the requisite skills, size, strength, and so we've been fortunate here to get some really good guys in here. When you talk about Creed and Trey, Kingsley has that kind of ability that you can put up against anybody. Now it's just a matter of execution, details, learning our offense.
He talked a little bit about having been around the NFL and having relatives. Do you see in him, I guess, a little bit more maturity and comfortability from having been around the NFL a little bit?
No, you raise a good point. I hadn't really considered that. One of the things I always ask young linemen is, are you a fan of football? Who do you like to watch? You know, and just get a sense of that. And Kingsley is certainly a guy that knows a lot about that. You know, of course, he loves to watch his cousin. He loves to watch this guy, that guy. He's a football junkie. And so you want that. You want people that are all about ball. And so, yeah, maybe that has a lot to do with, you know, why he is that way.
Andy, whenever you're dealing with younger guys, there's a certain amount of snaps or reps you want them to get different muscle memory, you want technique-wise?
I would, yes. You know, muscle memory plays a big part, especially if you're trying to tweak a technique, break a habit. That's a tough thing to do. The more reps you can get, the better, obviously. So is there a set number? No, but hey, if we can get more, and that's one great thing about coaches' training camps.
How about progress in your two other draft players, Anthony and Norzad?
Yeah, so Hunter Norzad has made great progress. He's a very quick study, which you'd expect from a guy with an Ivy League background. I mean, you tell him something once, man, he's got it. But what I've been most pleased with is that he has been able to make little technique adjustments. I didn't know if we'd get that from him, but I see it every day from him. And then C.J. Hansen is a tough nut now. I mean, he's as tough as they come, loves football, and so he's been making steady progress as well. I'm really pleased with both those guys.
Last two, Nathan.
And do you feel like you have defined roles for your two line in terms of depth, or how much will these next two preseason games sort of define that role as well?
Yeah, so it's definitely taking shape. But as you mentioned, there's a lot of work yet to be done, 2 more preseason games. And so guys still have an opportunity to step up and carve out a role. You know, I would say at this point, nobody's got anything locked down. You know, when you talk about your swing interior guys, I mean, we got a really good battle going on there with Norzad and Caliendo. And then at the tackle spots, you know, Wanye and Lucas both have started games. They're capable of being starters. So what is their role going to be? It's not yet been determined.
Andy, not to belabor the point, but talking to Kingsley yesterday, Joe Tooney seemed like he was being a real help for him, just having him beside him, just sort of take him aside and show him a few of the ins and outs. From your perspective, how helpful is that to have a veteran sort of being able to maybe fill in a little bit of the blanks?
Yeah, that is huge. So Joe especially, but not just Joe, I mean, all of our veteran guys are fantastic with our young guys. We've got a super young room with 7 rookies. But you talk about Joe Tooney grabbing Kingsley. It's like another coach on the field. You know, he's able to be supportive. He's able to push him. He's able to hit him on some details. Maybe answer a question that he didn't have a chance to ask in a meeting. That is absolutely invaluable, and that's one of the reasons we've got such a great culture in our room.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone?
What have you seen from Xavier so far? Maybe just his adaptation out here training and ability to grasp.
Yeah, he's been great. He's been working hard and picking up the playbook. That's probably been the best thing or most impressive thing to me is how quick he's been picking up the playbook.
Last year, you guys kind of gradually layered on his role. Vision that Xavier can maybe do more early on.
Yeah, he'll probably do a little more than Rashid did, but still probably not try to overload him and let him get his feet wet and build it up.
For you taking over the position of coach role last year, as a rookie year to now, what's been different for you?
From this year? I think it's just like anything else. After doing it for a year, you kind of know what to expect. Everything last year was new because it was my first time doing it. Now I know what to expect.
You guys have a lot of talent at the end of the room. What do you look for in those tough decisions when you have to make it in a couple weeks here?
Yeah, someone that can just get in and play any spot, and then someone that helps out on special teams.
So the additions that you guys made to the room, how is that maybe going to impact the offense, and what should we see?
Yeah, I mean, we got a bunch of new guys in this year, so they'll all be in there playing and making an impact. So that's it.
What do you see from Justin Ross in the last week or so?
He's really picked up his game, and then what I asked him to do is pretty much dominate any jump ball and then the red zone, and I think he's been doing that. He's a big body receiver, and he needs to play that way.
What else does he need to do besides the jump ball? We've seen that out here from him.
Yeah, just be consistent and show up every day and work hard.
What about Kadarius Toney?
KT, he's had some nagging injuries, but he's been working himself back. And then when he's out there, you see the dynamic ability he has, and just building up reps. The more he's healthy, the more reps he can get.
Have you seen a change this year in Sky Moore? Kind of what's his progression right now?
Yeah, Sky's been great. He's one of those guys that knows everything, knows what to do, and works hard. I know the quarterbacks love him because he's the guy staying out after practice, trying to get extra reps in. And then he knows, like I said, he knows the whole playbook, every position, so I have no problem putting him anywhere.
They mentioned bringing Rasheed along last year. What are you guys tasking him with as far as being better this year?
With Rasheed, I'm just really asking him to now just develop into a leader. So last year, any rookie, he's just trying to focus on himself, know what to do his own job. Now that next step is do your job and help out all the other receivers.
Let's go last two. Go ahead, Matt.
What does Hollywood's injury affect kind of your game planning for the next couple of weeks, both as far as still getting him ready for the season and getting other guys into the spot?
Yeah, I think it's just that next man up mentality, and then when he gets back, he'll fit right back in and hopefully be up to speed with everything.
Nate and Aaron, go ahead.
I know it's unfortunate that Chris had the injury on Saturday, but from the start of training camp, what did you feel like you learned most about him, seeing him in the offense alongside the rest of the guys?
He's fast. I knew that, but seeing it in person is different. And then his leadership. He came in from day one, and he's been kind of taking over that role as the leader in the room. So that's been great.
Last one, Aaron.
Won the Super Bowl, but led the league in drops as well. How do you work on that in the early days of training?
Just kind of mind tap them every day just to focus. I tell them, if you guys just focus, look the ball all the way in, you're in the NFL for a reason. So I thought most of the drops from last year were focus drops where, they had their hands on the ball. It was maybe they're turning their head away to, make a play with the ball in their hands. So really just focusing on that. Catch it, look it all the way into the tuck, and then become a ball carrier.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
Good to see everybody. Thanks, man. Yeah, it's good to be up here at camp. I think we've had some really good work here at camp. I think the competition's been really good. That's a credit again to our personnel department for all the work that they put in throughout the season. Not only evaluating the talent piece, but also the character and the makeup, which is a long process throughout the season. And then once we get them inside the building, I think we have the best coaching staff in the National Football League, just in terms of teaching and developing these guys to really maximize their abilities out here in the field. So we get another preseason game here this week to evaluate them. Excited about that, and open up to questions.
Talk about the makeup of the roster. This feels like to me, the least amount of turnover that we've seen maybe during camp, which is probably a long time.
Yeah.
What does that speak to as far as just how this roster's been built, the depth of experience?
Yeah, I think obviously the last few years, I think we've done a good job in the draft, adding talent, and these guys playing right away, going into the second, third season now. And so that, when you draft well, you don't have to bring in so many guys from the outside. So, I think that's, once again, really a credit to the staff, the college staff throughout the season of just, putting together good drafts.
Like last year, you guys were able to orchestrate a trade for Smith Marset. A lot of receivers this year. Not to say it's going to happen again, but what's the process of trying to find a partner? Because you do have a player like that you might want to.
Yeah, so our pro department now is watching all 31 other teams and making phone calls and seeing what their what their needs are, what their surplus is, and that's kind of how that works, Pete. Is that you try to find a match, and sometimes it's towards the end of the season if we have a surplus somewhere, and we made the trade with Carolina last year, doing that.
Mike, is there a guy from this year's draft class that's maybe kind of surprised you in one way or another out here so far?
I've been impressed with just some of the guys being thrown right in there. Kingsley especially, playing left tackle as a rookie in the NFL is not an easy job, and he's going to go through his ups and downs. But just as far as he's coachable, the consistency with them. All the rookies really. Jaden's kind of made an impact early on. You saw that in the game, and you saw it out here in practice, and that's kind of carried over to what we saw at Washington State. I think you're hopeful that what you see on film is what comes out here in practices, and so far, those two guys are standing out to me.
Mike, can you elaborate just the wide receiver room and maybe potentially a Hollywood's injury might affect some decisions that you have over the next few weeks?
Yeah, so we have some veteran guys here that have played. Obviously, we threw in Jay Watt, right after in practice here to kind of replace him. So it's really, you're putting together a puzzle at the end of the cut-down day, and where you might be heavy at certain positions, where you might be light. So you take into all that into account, where you have injuries, maybe at that position. So we're a couple of weeks away from doing that, but that certainly factors into it.
Reed Humphrey, Trey Smith, Nick Bolton, is there any urgency to get those deals done before the season?
Yeah, we'd love to retain all our players. It's a work in progress, and I think Brett and Chris Shea, who handles that, have been diving into that and trying to get something done with these guys. So, when we draft guys, we'd love to retain them, but it's tough now in the National Football League with the salary cap and everything. But we'd love to bring all those guys back.
Obviously, you liked Chris Jones when you drafted him back in 2016, but has there been any surprises in his career? Did you see his career going the way it has, or have there been any surprises in that regard?
Well, I think when you saw Chris in college, you saw a physical freak. If he could put it all together, and I think Chris has really, improved over the years. He's become a leader in that room. And then, no one's bigger than Chris Jones in big moments of games and making plays. And you saw that through the playoffs last year, just affecting the quarterback, not necessarily sacks, but just the way he's grown over his career.
I feel like he's put it together, to use your words, put it together.
I think he has.
Maybe more consistently, better than you maybe.
Yeah, I think every year he's grown and become more consistent, whether that's playing the run or just, making big plays, down the stretch in critical moments. And, he's certainly one of the guys over the past few years that has done that for us.
Let's do 3 more.
Talked about the cut down coming up in a couple of weeks instead of the incremental. You got the one big one. Does that make it easier or harder?
I think it's easier for us because we get another week to evaluate some of these guys. So for us, it really doesn't matter. It's almost better that we can take a longer look at some of these guys, whether it's practice or that last preseason game.
Wrap up with Nate and Sam. Go ahead, Nate.
Mike, can you just explain, even though the offseason is shorter, just what was your favorite part of this past offseason, and what makes the offseason challenging considering your guys' success? Yeah,
obviously, we're ending the season a lot later, and this has happened to us a few times now. So you're a little behind on maybe the draft meetings and picking up on that aspect of it in the off season, but we've been through it now a few times, so we've got a system down where we feel comfortable now. It was the first time I'd interviewed for a GM job, so it was a great learning experience for me. Getting to sit down with the owner, Josh Harris, and his committee. It was a very diverse committee. They had Bob Myers, who was the GM of the Warriors, on that committee. So really having conversations with them about their philosophies on leadership and organizational philosophies and processes, especially coming from a different sport, too. So it was a great learning experience for me.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.